Hey everybody, my name is Christine Elise. You may know me from the Chucky franchise. I play Kyle, and you are listening to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. And before we jump into our film review, I just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. We have our store under the Mass blog entries if you want to check those out. And we have all of our episodes and interviews and our celebrity intros on the website if you want to go give all of those a quick listen. And just another quick shout out to our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't go out there, just search for that and you'll find us. You'll see Brian's awesome graphic he made for us. And tonight, the film review that we're doing is we're going back to the Child's Play franchise. We're going to the first sequel, Child's Play 2. And we have a really, really special guest. Actually, we have two special guests. The ladies from the Don't Fuck With the Original podcast. And Becky and Casper, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourselves to our audience?
Hey, guys. This is Becky Gremlin here. We started our podcast about a year ago in January of 2019. And we're pretty much all things horror and spoopy. And as we like to say, it is spoopy. And yeah, we pretty much do. We didn't really want to be kind of your run of the mill. We wanted to do a little bit of everything, kind of take both of our similar interests. So we do everything from horror movies to serial killers to paranormal and a little bit of everything in between. So,
and I'm Casper. Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yes.
We've actually been really close friends for a long time. We met at a horror convention.
Yes.
And a couple of years ago, getting late into the year, we both were like, we love horror so much. Why don't we talk about it? Like what you're listening to on our podcast is our conversations, like normal conversations.
Yeah, we kind of modeled ourselves. I know for me personally, and I think for a lot of people just podcasting in general, Joe Rogan is kind of the godfather of all of this. And I've been a long time. I sing his praises all the time. And I love how his podcast, even now, is really not structured in any way. It's just kind of a general conversation and it's really laid back. And that's exactly what we wanted. So we kind of model ourselves after that we really don't have a structure to what we do. Like what you hear is exactly what we are. So we kind of appreciated that realness and hope everybody else does too. And apparently they do, because we've garnered a little bit of a following. So
and people actually ask me like, how much editing do you do? And I'm like, I don't edit.
No.
We straight up post exactly. And people seem to really like that. They seem to really like the fact that it's just raw and it's just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can definitely tell when something's structured and forced. I like the free flowing aspect. All right, one of the girls' names from of our guests is Chucky's side chick. So it seemed fitting that we review a Chucky movie, Child's Play 2. Do y'all want to give y'all's general synopsis of just do the Child's Play franchise and Child's Play 2 specifically?
I'll let you go first.
Since he's my love.
Yeah.
So, growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies, so I didn't even see the Child's Play franchise in full until... Actually, I didn't even watch Child's Play until I was like 17 or 18 years old, which was about 10 years ago. So when I first watched it, I was kind of like, I'm not really into it. I don't know. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I was like more into Freddy. Freddy was kind of like the pinnacle of love for me to love horror because I loved how the kills were so much better. And then I saw Child's Play 2. So Child's Play 2 is actually the reason why I fell in love with the franchise, because the kills were better. He was in it more, which it's not that the first one's terrible. I love the first one. The first one's fantastic, but I like the fact that he's in it so much more in the second one, and you actually get to see him do a lot of the kills. And the franchise as a whole is my favorite because he's just adorable. And this is going to sound like demented, but every time he smiles when he kills somebody, I'm like, oh, he's so cute.
He's especially adorable in the second one.
Yeah, he's adorable in the second one. And in Cult, he's absolutely adorable. 3, I'm not a big fan of. Still not a big fan of. 4, Bride of Chucky is my absolute favorite.
We beg to differ on that one, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Seed is fine. I don't hate it.
I fucking hate it.
Seed, well, I mean, Britney Spears dies, so you have that. Curse is brilliant and Cult is brilliant. But I know that's not everybody's look on the whole franchise. But as the franchise as a whole, especially after seeing Bride, I fell deeply in love with Chucky. And I had to come to terms this year that Chucky is my true love. Still love Freddy, but Chucky has my soul. Literally.
Wait a minute now. You just ran through the franchise, but I don't think I heard the remake. I don't think I heard the reboot get any love there. What's going on?
That doesn't exist to me.
We are all on the same page with that one.
It's like John Cena. We don't see it.
Do you guys know how we got our name? How we got our name Don't Fuck With the Original? It's actually to do with that. So I was at a friend of mine's and I found out they were remaking Child's Play, and I was pissed. I lost my mind, especially, and I called you. And my friend literally gets up and storms out of the room, and she's like, "Why don't you just stop fucking with the original?" And I was like, "Hold on a minute."
Oh, I always assumed it was from Scream, because that's the line in part 4, right? So I assumed that was from.
It is. That's actually why our Twitter handle is 8811, because Scream 4 came out in 2011 and the original Child's Play came out in 88. So fun fact.
That's cool. Hey, fun facts are at the end of the show. Calm down now. I'm just kidding. That's awesome. I'll just give my general thoughts real quick. Child's Play 2, no secret here. This is my favorite Child's Play movie in the whole franchise. I really like the original 2, but what I love about this one is you don't have to wait 30 to 45 minutes to get Chucky. You get him within the first 5 minutes. You get Chucky giving his one-liners, being the sadistic murderer from the get-go, and I love it. I really like this movie. When we did our final girls, final guys rankings, I put Kyle, Christina Leese at number 7, I believe. I really like Kyle in this movie and her role with Alex, Vincent, Andy. And Andy's a lot better in this movie than the first one too, because he aged, he got better. I really like this movie. Dustin, do you want to go next, man?
Sure, I'll go next. So I like this movie too, but that being said, I think that once we get through the scene by scene, the breakdown of it, I do have some major critiques. There are some things that I just really don't like. I think a lot of the writing was lazily done, as far as making it make sense, and the convenience factor that they took and shortcuts that they used to get to point B from point A at times. This is not my favorite Child's Play movie in the franchise. I am a Child's Play fan. I haven't actually thought about which one my favorite is. I'm sure we'll rank these one day, but this is not it. I do agree with you. Alex Vincent he really came into his own from the first one to the second one. Tremendous improvement there. Which I mean, how you going to critique a kid like that? But not as annoying in his acting and his delivery and some lines. But overall, I think it's an enjoyable film. And so now I'm going to explain why that doesn't necessarily translate to a good film.
No, I agree with that.
Go ahead, Brian.
I mean, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. Well, we all know how much nostalgia plays, into especially some of these 80s and 90s movies and our opinions of them. unfortunately, I mean, I don't have any nostalgia for Child's Play movies because I didn't really care for them growing up. I was a Friday, Nightmare, and Halloween kid. So, as an adult, I can really only look at them for like what they are without that nostalgia playing into it. And like I said in our original Child's Play review, I actually like the character of Chucky. I even said it then, but the dad jokes with the every kill and the maniacal laughter, it's what they tried to turn Freddy into from part 4, to Freddy's Dead, and it didn't work because, like I said then, it's Chucky. It's not Freddy. With that said, I really love Curse of Chucky, so it's not like I hate every entry of the franchise. I don't. Curse, honestly, is the only one that I really love, though. And with all that said, this one entry, even upon this rewatch, I mean, it's just okay for me. I really agree with Dustin. There's a lot of critiquing that you can do throughout.
Oh yeah, I've got some nitpicks, even though I love it, but there's no perfect movie unless Stanley Kubrick done it. Ain't that right, Dustin?
Oh my God.
We're starting this already.
I'm just kidding. All right, let's jump into the scene.
But you are right. Anyway, go ahead.
Let's jump into the scene by scene. All right, the film starts with the Chucky doll, the remains from the Child's Play, being examined and being put together in the opening credits. Sullivan, the boss at Good Guy Inc. I just assume he's the boss. I don't know what his exact role is. He shows up to the factory, and his sidekick Matson tells him of Andy Barclay's story, and he says he thinks the voice box was tampered with. They want to start production on Good Guy dolls again. The guy putting the doll back together hits the stuck machine and is electrocuted when the eyes are inserted into the doll's head. Now Andy is being questioned by a therapist if he's still thinking about Chucky and if he wants to talk about it. Andy tells him that the doll, tells him about the doll and his story, Charles Lee Ray. The ambulance shows up and gets the dead body, and we see the Chucky doll has moved by the door and is not in, where the machines were. Grace is showing Phil and Joanne, Andy, their foster parents, looking to adopt. Grace tells them the background of Andy and his story. Andy now, he leaves with Phil and Joanne. They have, generic getting to know each other conversation, and Phil almost drives into a Good Guy semi-truck. They get home and start to show Andy the house. Andy gets scolded for almost touching an antique statue. Andy goes into the wrong room and he sees Kyle, who's also staying at the house. It's his foster sister, we get to know. He gets caught smoking, and Joanne says to go help with dinner. She takes Andy to his room, and a Good Guy doll falls on top of him in the top of the closet. Phil scolds him for running in the house, and Joanne removes the doll from the room. First critique I have is Phil. Come on, man. you got to know that kid's going to run if he sees a doll that just scarred his whole life. That's, but. All right, Becky, Casper, what are your thoughts on the first two opening scenes?
Well, I agree. He's virtually traumatized by that doll, so of course he's going to run away from it. So I didn't quite get that scene either. I did want to say for the record that Child's Play 2 happened to be the first, I think it was about the first Child's Play movie I ever personally saw. This is going to show my age, but I was 6 when it came out. And so this was around the time, this movie specifically always stuck in my head because, especially going through the scenes when, the first scene where they're in the factory and then the scene when Phil almost hits the truck, because this is around the same time that the My Buddy dolls were out. Mm-hmm. And I remember these dolls. I remember Chucky absolutely terrifying me and My Buddy dolls absolutely terrifying me from that point on. I think my mom wanted to get me one for Toys R Us that Christmas, and I just screamed bloody murder and said, no, it's going to kill me like Chucky. I just was absolutely mortified.
My Buddy and Me. I remember that whole theme song, too. That shows my age, too.
The commercials, it's like going over my head. Every kid from that era remembers those commercials. But yeah, that scene in particular with him almost running into the truck and seeing it, watching it again too, there were little parts of the scenes that I picked out that were just really poignant to that time. Noticing this time around that Andy was wearing Chuck Taylors. I don't know why I happened to point that out. Just figured that out of
Were
nowhere.
they Chuck Taylors or Chucky Taylors?
Oh.
LOL.
She's always got the dad jokes.
Yep. Probably what actually
why
there it
you
is.
like
That's why I like
Chucky.
him. Yep.
Already.
Brian loved it.
I love it.
No, I agree with the whole like running out of the room thing too, because I'm like, also I think it's funny that she ends up like Joanne takes the cigarettes from Kyle, and Kyle immediately gets up and
Okay, I'm
gets
sorry.
more cigarettes out of the suitcase.
I'm also sorry to steal the line, but Kyle, call me sometime. Like even now, she could call me.
I met her 2 years ago, and she can call me any day. Any day she wants to. Just, how you doing?
Oh, Mike's not here, so somebody's got to use it. So there you go.
I had to.
That's good.
Oh,
Still
she's
gotta-
great in this movie. She's great in this movie. I love Kyle in
Oh
this movie.
yeah, so I loved her in this movie.
I thought it had a strong beginning though, because I really liked how the second one started with rebuilding him.
Yeah.
I really liked they pretty much went into detail, even showed like getting the charring off his face.
That added a real creep
Yeah.
factor, I think.
His teeth creeped me out because they would look
very
real.
human.
Yeah.
The teeth look very real. I was like, them things look like real human teeth. I was like, okay, all right. Dustin, you want to go next, man?
The fact that they were still dirty. Like when they put his plastic on his head, I was like, his teeth are still dirty. Brush them.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go on this. So, right out the gate, I mean, I do appreciate the fact that we don't beat around the bush in this. I mean, we get straight to the shit. He's 6 minutes in, we get a death. That's good pacing already, because it's already like, okay, we're here. We're not going to have to wait, like you guys said about the first one. We don't, we're right to the action. However, there are moments in this that I think are, like I said, lazily done. They half-ass explained the fact that his mom is institutionalized.
Mhm.
They didn't mention, I watched it a couple times this week. They didn't mention, okay, the mom's institutionalized, but she had two cops that also would have had her back in the story. What happened to them? And now we get Andy's in a foster home, or he's going to be placed with people with a family. And then, do you believe in coincidence? Or what are the odds that he almost runs into the truck and his PTSD is just going to be immediately triggered because he looks up and sees Chucky's face on the side of the transfer truck? And then the doll falling out of the closet. It's just, it seems like more due diligence would have been done by the foster family to make sure that damn doll is hidden somewhere to where he'll never find it. That to me is one of those things like I wish they wouldn't have done. I wish they would have introduced Chucky into the foster home a different way. I feel like having the doll that was left by one of the previous kids there was just kind of, it's kind of a shortcut to just be like, oh, it makes sense that Chucky's here, or that there's a good guy doll here. I will say though that I had my buddy doll when I was a kid, and my dad used to scare the shit out of me because I can remember coming out. I couldn't remember coming out of the bathroom, and like it's dark in the house, and then my dad just like crouching down, but he's got the doll in his hand, and he just like jumps the doll out of one of the bedrooms at me.
Oh, that's not
Woo. Funny, man.
No.
Therapy today.
Yeah.
You
So
wouldn't even have a Chucky doll would not be the mascot.
No,
You'd be like,
no.
I can't be around that thing.
but the good news is I also grew up watching professional wrestling, so I got my shots in on my buddy once we got once the doors were closed. I beat the shit out of him, but that's neither here nor there.
Stone Cold stun him, just bam.
Exactly.
Just yeet. I grew up watching wrestling too, so I had to throw that in.
Nice. Oh, and one more thing, I just overlooked this. So one more thing about that opening scene. So yeah, I like the fact that we got a death that quickly. However, the cause of death it's bizarre to me. Like Chucky, I know that Chucky got placed into the body via supernatural means and the spell, the curse, whatever. And we see that later in the scene when he's trying to transfer it back out. But if he could kill people without actually having to kill people, why is he not doing that the rest of the film? He didn't have to actually assert any physical violence on him. He just attacked him with electricity. That was a little bit weird to me, but that's all I got on
You
this
didn't
part.
know Chucky had the 1990s Star Wars Emperor Force Lightning effects?
Right?
He's the Sith Lord. Did you not know?
Ooh.
I feel like that kind of floated around, and I'm starting to kind of think of that seemed to have been a theme. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think around like the late 80s, early 90s, where you kind of had that. I think there was just kind of maybe, and I could see how that would be kind of hokey. Like you would just kind of have that because you're like, well, then why didn't he just use that before? I also wanted to say real quick, Brian, they kind of gloss over it in the beginning. There's kind of this quick part between that exec and that one guy when they're in the hallway talking about, I think Andy's in relation to Andy's mom. If I remember correctly, something, even though I still feel like this was kind of rushed too, that they paid off the cops maybe in some way. They were able to kind of cover up the story quickly enough that they were just kind of able to say, oh, she was crazy, and like just throw her in an institution real quick and just completely discount what she said, which still, I don't know. That was kind of rushed.
If you didn't like catch that,
you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was actually supposed to be a whole scene at the beginning with Catherine Hicks before a judge and getting, institutionalized and the whole thing kind of showing that. But I guess that's a little fuss factor right off the bat. But they cut that from the thing. But Catherine Hicks was actually supposedly like on set all the time because of her husband, who actually operated the Chucky doll a lot. So I assume that they met there in the first Chucky movie. I don't really know that part, but I guess I'll go ahead and go. So we definitely have to suspend belief right off the bat. I mean, I can't believe I just said that about a movie about a possessed killer doll, but okay. Suspend belief inside the Child's Play canon. Let's say that. As we've now been like taken inside the Char doll and exactly like, what's the reason though? Why are we rebuilding it? I mean, examining it, I get it, but I don't really, why are they rebuilding it? Also like during the examination, did we find out, about the heart, that it supposedly had that we shot and blood spattered all over the first one? Did I miss that, or did they just kind of not explain that part?
No, you didn't miss anything.
Nope.
Okay, so they just kind of moved. Okay.
Yep.
He got a brand new heart.
And I do want to say the same thing Nico said to begin with. Alex Vincent's, first of all, thank you to Alex Vincent for doing the intro to this show. But his acting to me is a lot better in this movie for sure. A lot better than the first one, which we kind of got into a little bit. And and I wrote down fuck Phil but you know what? Props to Garrett Graham, by the way, for his acting as well, because I hate the dude, and it's because of his acting. He did such a good job on it. He played asshole very well. I've seen him in a couple of times in some Star Trek stuff and like some TV series that he did, so he had a good TV career, but I'd never seen him before this, honestly, in a movie. But yeah, I mean, great parenting start, Phil. He asking, this is what I thought was funny. He was asking Andy if he liked sushi on the damn way to the car. I mean, the man just told you that he likes chocolate and eggs, and you hit him with the sushi. So I mean, so Andy, what's your thoughts on a creme brulee followed by a nice lobster frittata? It's just it sounded just ridiculous. But besides looking like a serial killer himself, Phil. But I mean, who can blame the dude, because his house is pink and blue. I would be a serial killer too if I lived in that house. Just so you know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm dying. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he definitely looks like he played a serial killer on Criminal Minds. 100%.
All right, Matson, he leaves the factory with the Chucky doll and he throws it in the back seat. He stops at a liquor store to buy vodka, and Chucky notices the car phone. So Chucky, he gets the car phone, he calls the foster home, and he gets Andy's info and whereabouts. Chucky pops up and holds a gun to Matson's head. He panics and pulls over in a parking lot. He ties his hand behind his back and shoots him in the face, and it's just a water gun. Chucky laughs and then smothers him with a plastic bag. Chucky now runs towards the foster home Andy's at. Andy is being read a bedtime story as Chucky breaks in. Andy misses his mom. Chucky is downstairs and uses the antique statue and busts it over the Tommy good guy doll. He now buries the other doll outside under the swing. Phil now asks the two kids about the broken statue at breakfast. He grounds both of them when neither confess. Andy and Kyle are now doing laundry, and Andy tries a cigarette for the first time. Kyle and Andy talk about Phil being grouchy. Andy walks in and hears Phil second-guessing adopting him. Andy walks into the living room, and the good guy doll was left there, which makes no damn sense to me. And Andy says, "I hate you," and checks it for the batteries. Andy's outside swinging over an obvious dug-up hole. He asks Kyle, "Do you miss your mom and dad?" She says you can't miss them if you never met them. Andy pushes her on the swing, and Chucky stares at the hole he dug. Phil calls him inside to eat. Andy's asleep in bed, and Chucky wakes up and binds him to the bed. "Chucky's back," I wrote with an exclamation point. "We're friends to the end." He starts to chant, but Kyle climbs into his room. Kyle frees him, and he yells, "It's Chucky." Phil and Joanne blame Kyle. He throws the doll into the basement as Andy yells, "Kill him." Chucky realizes he's turning human after he has a bloody nose. Brian, do you want to go first on those two scenes, man?
Yeah, sure. So is it just me, or does the mom's accent kind of change from scene to scene in this film? Like, I don't, and is it just me? But to me, she reminded me a lot of the Rian Reeves, the girl that played the podcaster from Halloween 2018. Maybe it's just me. All accents are not the same, Brian. I don't know. Anyway, and like, look, it's a great visual. You know, it's cool to see Chucky kill Tommy just to replace him and bury him. But is it really necessary? I think that's a little overkill here. Forget the fact that Tommy's just standing at the end of the stairs inexplicably there, but Tommy isn't real. So I mean, couldn't you just thrown him in the trash? I don't know. Like, that just seemed like way overkill to me. Also a little trivia that Tommy is named after Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, but the director of the first Child's Play. Which, you know, seems fine until you realize that, you know, Don Mancini and he had a lot of problems apparently in the first one. And he actually wrote him to get his head bashed in by Chucky. So obviously that was a little fuck you to Mr. Holland there. And I did think it was kind of funny where it was like, cigarettes are bad for you, but secondhand smoke isn't, during that whole scene where she was he was smoking on that was crazy. And I just want to say to everyone that the fact that Andy was tied to the bed, everybody let that go just a little too easily. I mean, if you were any one of those three people, you should be very disturbed by the thought that any of the other three would tie him to the bed like that. Plus, shit, you know, in the time it took Chucky to tie his ass up, he could have actually done the chant and been swapped out, and it would have been done. Which honestly, I'll say a bunch throughout this movie, because it's, to me, that's crazy. You could have easily ended this movie many times, but you know, he kind of ruined it. And you know, you won't convince me that Phil isn't the BTK killer outside of this movie, based on the way he looks, his house, and now he's tying kids up. I think, you know, I don't know. You won't convince me that dude's not a murderer.
Becky, Casper, what are your thoughts on those two scenes?
I gotta get over what was just said.
I was gonna say the Zodiac killer till I thought about the kid being tied up, and I was like, oh, BTK, you know, the sweater vest. It's really all starting to make sense now. And you're exactly right. They glossed over this kid being tied to a bed.
And for him to say it over and over, Chucky did it, Chucky did it, Chucky did it. And they're like, nah. And I'm like, I feel like after the 70,000th time that a child told me this doll, you know, it was kind of fucked up. And every time you're around someone either dies or gets hurt. You know, maybe we should look into it at this point. Instead of being like, well, Kyle did it. And Kyle's like, bitch, I just got here. I don't even know what just happened.
Well, and even my whole thing is, even if, what really disturbed me is that even if they really, really thought Kyle did it, you guys let her off a little too easy.
Like, we can't be bringing foster kids home. If you're gonna just tie them up in their bed, like, what are you doing?
In their pajamas, and that's not creepy at all in the middle of the night. What? Like,
yeah, and then he forces them to throw him in the basement, and really, yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, Phil is on. We're not liking Phil.
Phil's, you know, like, it's just like my roommate said while I was watching this. She's like, okay, so what if you didn't believe that the doll was possessed or whatever? If a doll is causing a child this much trauma, why don't you just fucking get rid of it? Why are you gonna throw it in your basement? That's gonna cause them more, anxiety, because now this thing's in the basement, instead of just, I don't know, throwing it in the trash. I don't know, you know,
driving it to the dump. I don't
take it to Rumpke. Like, don't throw it in the basement because that's just going to make it worse.
Rumpke is our dump in case that
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
translate to the rest of the country.
Rumpke is trash. Literal trash. But yeah, no,
so,
the way that he gets, it is a little overkill with the other doll, but I feel like that's a very Chucky thing for him to kind of overdo something like that. True. It's kind of like something he would do just because he's a little bit of a drama queen, which I love. He's a diva.
Yeah, a little bit. I agree.
Yeah, these scenes to me were a bunch of fluff. I mean, you had Mattson stopping at the store to buy vodka. I don't know why that was necessary, but I will say him not being able to use his credit cards is a true sign of the times. Could you imagine going somewhere now and they're like cash only? You'd almost look at them like, is your machine down? Like, what's going on here? But like I said, there's really no point to it. Like, does he have underlying alcohol issues that were never addressed? Why do we have to have him buying vodka here? It's just weird.
He was getting it, remember, because was it his wife or his girlfriend?
Oh no, it was some girlfriend.
It was a girlfriend, and it was their anniversary. She's like, "Did you get the vodka?"
That's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
Of course, I got the vodka, and then he's like, "I gotta go get vodka."
It still just seems weird. Like, there's no point to other than to give Chucky a chance to use the phone. Like, I feel like a lot of these scenes and a lot of these moments are done with no other logical sense other than to foreshadow or build off something that was unnecessary to begin with. So you got him out of the car so Chucky can use the phone. That foster agency gave up information way too quickly. Like, you can call somewhere and just be like, "Hey, I'm a relative. Where do they live now?" And they'll just be like, "Oh, right here." Get out of here.
There was no HIPAA, I guess.
Come on.
I miss Uncle Charles. No record of that at all. Oh, this is exactly his address.
That place is a walking Amber Alert. What the hell?
Yeah.
And like Brian said, there's no reason to kill Tommy or let alone bury him other than to set up the fact that he's going to get dug up at some point, and to smash a statue that we just happen to get Phil. Rule number 1: don't touch the old stuff. And so it just happened to be that same statue that got him in trouble. They found broke. That was kind of lazy to me. Why the hell did Cloud come into his window? Like, she clearly didn't sneak out of his window, so why is she climbing back into his window? This is not a small house. It's a decent house. There's several points of entry, but you choose that particular window, and then when he's sitting there tied to the bed, it's almost like, holy shit, is Todd from Wedding Crashers about to play some tummy sticks? This is creepy. I don't like it.
Oh, that was great.
That was great.
All right, Andy and Kyle are off to school now, and I wrote egg salad. Yuck. Kyle asks, "How'd you tie yourself up like that?" Chucky, and now we see Chucky grabs a hold of the bottom of the bus and hitches a ride. Chucky is in Andy's class now and writes on Andy's paper. Andy gets in trouble after getting his ear thumped. Andy is kept in detention after seeing "fuck you, bitch" on his paper. He blames it on Chucky. She throws the doll in the closet. She locks him in the classroom, which I don't think it would be legal at all to lock a child in a classroom. He goes to the closet, and Chucky jump scares him through the keyhole. He climbs out the window as Chucky insults him. Miss Kettlewell comes back and thinks it's Andy in the closet. She opens the door to an empty closet. Chucky jumps out, impaling her with an air pump. He then beats her to death with a yardstick, and I love that scene, just him walking out, slapping the yardstick against his other hand. I just wrote, I love the shot as it pans away, and you keep seeing him striking her. I love that. Andy tells his foster parents Chucky followed him to school. Phil has Andy open the basement door, and he doesn't, so Phil opens the door, and the doll is still there at the bottom. Phil yells that Andy needs professional help. Andy's heads down as he hears the argument. Kyle tells him it's not the end of the world. She comforts him, says the only person you can count on is yourself. Andy says no matter where I go, Chucky will find me. Andy goes into the kitchen and gets an electric knife to go kill Chucky. He goes into the basement, and Chucky's not at the bottom of the stairs anymore. I wrote the basement is creepy AF. And then I wrote Andy is goofy AF because he keeps bumping into everything. I think that's Child's Play 1, Andy coming back. Phil goes downstairs hearing a lot of noises. He goes into the basement and sees Andy with the knife, and Chucky is underneath the stairs, and Chucky hooks Phil's leg, and he breaks his neck when he hits the floor. And I love the "how's it hanging, Phil" before he drops him. And then Joanne yells, "Get away from me!" as she runs down and finds her dead husband. Hey, Dustin, you want to go first on those two scenes, man?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I like the aesthetic of, like you said, Chucky walking out with the slapping his hand with the yardstick and everything. But I think she's more likely to die from getting, air pumped to the heart. I don't care who you are, how strong you are, how many times you do it. I don't think that I'm going to die from being hit with a yardstick. Those things are pretty flimsy. It's more likely to break. So I think that was kind of a lame, which, maybe she did bleed out from getting stabbed, but that was kind of, it looked good, but logically that's not going to kill somebody. I like and you're right, egg salad. What that actually cracked me up because I like how the one food he said he liked eggs. It's like, okay, what can I do? Egg salad. that was
I never
funny to
caught
me.
that. Nice catch. I didn't even catch that one.
And so, like, she could have made him anything. I don't know if my mom or anybody would send me to school with egg salad. I'm probably just skipping school right then. I'm gonna be a dropout. I'm gonna be a dropout, 6 years old. The I love the I love the most satisfying death of the movie comes right here because Phil was such a dickwad, and I love the how's it hanging, like you said. That's classic. That's the Chucky we all love. I will say though that Joanne, like, God, don't be a bitch. Like, he didn't do it. Like, if you walk down the stairs and you see him laying there with a broken neck, you're not gonna assume that this 7-year-old tripped him off the steps and killed him. Like, it's an accident, clearly. Unless you believe, Andy, that Chucky did it. But also the scene where he's got the electric carver and he just starts poking around in the dryer. What the hell are you doing? That was goofy as shit to me.
Yeah.
That was funny. But these scenes were better than the last two, so now we're getting back on track. I enjoyed these scenes, other than the logistics of killing someone with a yardstick.
Becky and Casper, go ahead.
I pretty much agree with all of that, actually. The whole egg salad thing I caught, because I got it the last time, and I was like, really? The one food that he said is she going to be like, omelets for breakfast, egg salad for lunch, scrambled eggs for dinner, eggs.
Where's the sushi, motherfucker?
Yeah, he's like, where's my sushi? I also thought that was because what 6-year-old kid likes sushi? But the yardstick thing, I also thought, because I was like, bitch, if you were hitting her hard enough to kill her, that yardstick would break.
Exactly.
Because there's no way that wouldn't break. But I'm also just sitting there, like, enjoying the cheese, because I'm like, this is so great. Because there's blood splattering everywhere. And I'm like, there's no way this could happen, but this is fantastic.
I know for me, it's just so funny to think that as a kid, that scene of him walking out of that closet with that yardstick was horrifying. But now, as an adult, I'm like, oh my God, look at how cute he is, and I'm laughing hysterically at it. I think for the same reason that it's pretty impossible that you're going to beat somebody to death with a yardstick. But I did want to say that the lady that plays Miss Kettlewell, I'm a huge Donnie Darko fan, and I distinctly remember her being just a super mega bitch in Donnie Darko. And it seems like she kind of took on this character arc of sort of playing kind of bitchy characters like that in several movies. So seeing it again after remembering her character from Donnie Darko was kind of cool too.
Also, it was probably good to watch her die.
Yeah.
Kind of like the satisfying Phil death. Oh my God, that was the best death.
Phil's death, yes.
That was the best, because you're like, oh,
the most satisfying. He's finally.
You didn't have to do stupid shit anymore. You didn't have to treat your foster son like he was some serial killer murderer when all of a sudden he's just found at every scene, just like deer in headlights look. Like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, the turkey carver in the dryer, what the fuck was that? I'm like, is he trying to carve the clothes?
Right.
And so I'm like, if Chucky was really in there, he's not gonna do anything by carving him up.
Why are you looking around?
Like
It's
you're
been-
not gonna. He's gonna come out and turn it on you, sir. Do you know this? You know this doll.
Especially as lackadaisically as he was doing it. Like, he was just half-ass sticking it in there, like, with no effort, no gusto, just...
Yeah,
Shut up, Brian.
he's
Didn't say
right though.
anything, man. Didn't even say anything.
Almost like he's taking a knife and like just calmly touching the clothes. Like, is he in here? Oh my God, is he there?
No.
No effort at all.
Yep.
So yeah, that was pretty much those scenes for me anyway. Yeah, I'm like you. We're getting back on track to the real Chucky though. So
All right, a few things. Number one, there was 0 black or mixed kids on that entire bus. Every one of those kids was white, every single one of them. Number two, Andy can't color worth a shit. Unless Chucky colored in all of those yellow animals, he colored them all the same. And unless Chucky did that just to be a dick before writing "fuck you, bitch" on it, that kid, Andy, has way bigger problems than a toy trying to kill him. This dude, Andy, is going to turn out to be some crazy recluse who lives in a cabin somewhere and tortures good guy dolls.
wait,
Yeah. Hey,
Dramatic pause. That was my dramatic pause.
you know, sometimes it's nice just to hang out on a Friday night with your best friend.
Anyway,
you ever tried to color when you were being chased by a psycho killer doll? Come on, man. It's
well, he
stressful.
needs to pick better times to do his homework if that's when he's trying to do it, because that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy the way he colored that. He deserved it. Chucky didn't have to do anything. The teacher would have suspended him probably. Anyway, why didn't Chucky just kill the teacher in the classroom with Andy? Because, I mean, we're waiting till the climax to be able to have the opportunity, I guess, to transfer his soul. But again, the writers shouldn't have given him so many opportunities here. Instead, we get the teacher, for some reason, locking Andy in the classroom, like that's completely legal and normal anyway. And then we get the teacher kill, which honestly, you know, I actually did like that a lot. I do wish that they would have not gone with the ruler. They would have just, like does instead with the, had the, like, maybe an air bubble go in his heart or whatever and killed her. But, I will say I did like the point of view shot of Andy, you know, like it's Chucky, and then at the end you get, you know, Andy. I did like that. But my man's got to pick a better weapon, because I mean Chucky jumped on him with that thing and he didn't do any damage when he hit him, like nothing. It was just that he's got to go with a regular knife there. And another question is, why didn't Chucky just kill all the members of his family? Which, you know, he does Phil, but why didn't he just go ahead and kill the other two? You know, because then she just waited until Andy got transported away, then killing the mother and making Kyle drive him around in the next scenes. Which, yeah, and again, the last thing I had written down is how, you know, how's it hanging, Phil? I love that. I love that line. That's what I love about Chucky. You know, his dad jokes aplenty, and he makes it so much better. I just wish I would have gotten a sushi joke in there somewhere from Andy.
I do have one more thing on these scenes. Like you said, there's no the bus ride. First of all, those are some badass little kids on that bus, though. Like new kid, and it's first day, I'm assuming, on the bus. He's just walking down the aisle, and the kid just shoves him right in the chest, you asshole. And then he's sitting there in class, and the kid flips him in the back of the ear. And the best you could come up with is "get lost, microchip." We got to work on your shit talking, Andy. That is terrible. You're gonna call someone microchip? Anyway.
My man was focusing on his coloring.
Was he though? It looked awful.
I feel like Chucky didn't need to write "fuck you, bitch" on the paper. I feel like the coloring was a "fuck you, bitch."
Yes, exactly.
I
She'd
do
have locked him in the closet regardless.
I do like the fact that it was pointed out, and thank you for that. And that totally blew by me, because I'm like, wait a minute, this is Chicago. Wouldn't there be like at least one black kid on that bus? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
No diversity.
I appreciate that. Looking back now, I'm like, okay.
I never noticed that, honestly. I just noticed Andy getting bullied from the second he walked on the bus.
Right?
Punk ass white kids.
Thank you.
All right,
There would not have been black kid that would have been like shoving him in its chest when he walked on that bus. Dumbass black kid.
He'd have been the only one.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit with me, Andy.
Yeah, he would have been like, come over here. But
I'm token. You can sit with me, Andy. Sorry.
But we always know what happens to the token black guy in a movie. He just ended up getting killed though. So thank God he wasn't in there.
Right. Okay, there you go.
That's why he wasn't.
That's why he wasn't there.
Hey, luckily we got the token newspaper black guy who doesn't get killed.
Yeah, but
At
who
least-
looks punk ass and grabs Kyle and wants to shove her up again, wants to beat the shit out of her. I was like, what the hell?
Well, that was much
Well,
as she tried to run
we'll
off
get
the
to-
road.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a couple scenes.
Still a little
All right.
dramatic. Relax, truck driver guy.
All right, the ambulance shows up, and Joanne packs up Andy's stuff to get him out of the house. Grace is at the house to pick him up. Andy tells Kyle he's still in the cellar. Don't let him get you. Kyle takes the Chucky doll outside and throws it in the trash. She smokes and swings and notices the buried Tommy doll. Chucky is now missing from the garbage can. She hears a noise from Joanne's room. Kyle finds her dead in the room at the sewing machine. Her throat has been slit. Kyle sits on the bed and Chucky attacks her. She knocks him on the ground and Chucky grabs the knife she dropped. Chucky trips her and forces her to drive to the foster center. Chucky has her speed up and the cops pull her over. The cop asks, "Hey, that's a good guy doll." He asks him, "What's your name?" He says Chucky, and then he has a nosebleed, and the cop just lets him off with a warning. Grace tucks Andy into bed as Kyle drives off. She slams the brakes, throwing Chucky through the windshield. She now tries to ram him into the fence with the car, but misses. She leaves the car, and Chucky pulls a knife to her throat. The fire alarm goes off at the foster center. Andy sees Kyle downstairs with the doll. Grace asks Kyle, "Did you do it?" she says. And she says Chucky pulled the fire alarm. Grace grabs the doll, but then Chucky kills her by stabbing her in the chest. Chucky and Andy escape the office through the window. They climb into the back of a newspaper truck, and Kyle gets into the car and chases the truck. She honks at the truck, but it won't stop, so she swerves right in front of it. Andy and Chucky take off running to the good guy factory, and Kyle makes it in just in time. And the next two scenes are the ending in the factory. Brian, do you want to go first on those two scenes, man?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the fact, why does he even need Kyle to drive him? Because he obviously either drove himself or just freaking booked it, back home to and from the school, obviously, just to lay down on the floor and be found by, Andy and the dad previously. So that kind of stood out to me a little bit, too. I think I would have rather him seen, him dig up Tommy or something and throw Tommy at the end of the stairs or something. I don't know. I don't feel like he used him as good as he should have, but he's running back and forth. And, look, this is a big gripe for me, but the movie is super short anyway, and we don't even get to see Joanne's kill on screen. That to me, I'm spoiler alert, that's my least favorite kill because off screen is kind of ridiculous that it is. I am a fan of the fact that Kyle slammed on the brakes instead of like in the first one when the detective just drove through mailboxes and whatnot trying to avoid being stabbed in the back seat instead of slamming on the brakes. Definitely props to her from that. We'll just ignore the fact that he probably doesn't weigh enough to be slammed through the glass, but it did make for a nice visual anyway. And this might be a little bit controversial, but I mean, all right, I do love the character of Kyle. So hear me out. And I guess you needed her for the finale and all, and I know she's, the only decent part of Colt to me, but I would have loved to have seen when he said playtime's over, he just slit her throat right there. I think that would have been brutal as hell. And, let me just say this. I mentioned, she was back for Colt. As much shit as I give the entire Child's Play franchise, I love the continuity. I'm a huge continuity fan. I've bitched about Halloween for changing theirs, and this franchise definitely has it. I love Curse, but I do think Colt, I don't know, is not the greatest to me. But how cool it would have been in Jason Goes to Hell or Jason versus Freddy to have Tom Matthews come back as Tommy Jarvis or something. To have some of these people from these earlier movies come back for those, I really think that's cool, and I definitely appreciate the Chucky franchise for doing that. And I'll just leave you with, oh, wait, stop, paper truck that's driving through the street with the back door open. It's little stuff like that where I don't understand how you edit this movie and don't make the suggestion of how it's kind of a little bit ridiculous that the paper truck's driving down the street with the back door wide open.
Exactly. Becky, Casper, what are y'all's thoughts?
Well, Buzz Lightyear and Woody opened the door.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, that was lame. No, I really like. I'm like you. I would have loved to see Joanne's. I feel like Joanne's kill was the most brutal, but we didn't see it, and I'm really sad that we didn't see it because the way she looked would have been awesome to watch that happen. But that scene where Kyle is trying to chase him, I think that scene is amazing with the puppeteers, like how they had to puppeteer him to get him to move correctly and everything like that. Like that scene was amazing as far as that's concerned. But yeah, the whole driving thing, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how did this bitch get all the way from school to the house just to lay on the floor in literal seconds? But you're like, no, I need you to drive me
That
here.
was a big hole kind of gaping open.
Like, how did you get there so fast, sir? You were doing killing. Like, while Phil's over here like, oh, he's still gonna be on the floor. But yeah, I think the whole like back of the truck was dumb. I think that guy was a little harsh on Kyle. I was like, really bad. I mean, even though I do understand though, because he's like, what is it? He has no idea.
White lady following me. I'm just trying to get back home. Like he has
I'm just trying to deliver paper.
idea what's going on.
He has no idea there's a doll. My favorite part though is when he said, "What's your name?" and he doesn't even toy it. He's like Chucky. Mm-hmm. Like he doesn't even toy voice it. He just straight up like Chucky. And then she's like, well, do you know how some dolls pee? This one bleeds.
I think he's kind of fed up by that point because he knows he needs to hurry up and get the hell out of that body. So he's like, fuck this cop, let's just go. I got to go. I got shit I gotta take care of. I gotta get this kid. I gotta get my soul out of this fucking doll. And yeah, that was a big part left from the school to the, but I think I will agree though that with Joanne's death, I definitely agree with everybody. I think it's pretty safe to say that this movie, along with a lot of other movies horror movies specifically during this time, the biggest enemy to all of them, let's just say it, was the MPAA. I mean, the motion picture association of America just fucking sucked when it came to a lot of these horror movies because there was just, I mean, as I learned just through the Friday the 13th franchise, they had to fight so hard to reshoot and cut certain kill scenes, and they just could not be effectively done because the MPAA was like, well, you can't have too much of this, and you can't do it like this, and you can't angle it like this. So I'm wondering if that played a lot into why we didn't successfully get to see the way Joanne was murdered. Maybe for the MPAA, that was just a little too brutal, but I would have liked to see it.
Well, the Saw franchise pretty much said a fuck you to the MPAA.
Yeah, so I just nicely got that 2000. So they gave some leeway where they kind of had to.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you guys said on these scenes here. This was what I was talking about earlier with the laziness. This is where you really see it. The doll, her finding the doll, that there's no reason for it other than the big reveal. Oh shit. And the one thing about Joanne's kill though that I will say, I don't mind that it was off screen just because the reveal was so well done. So if she walks in and she's just automatically sprawled out on the floor in a pile of blood, then yeah, that sucks. We didn't get to see it. But the fact that you know she's walking up and you hear the sewing machine tap 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 tap, and then just the reveal when she spins her around, I think that was so well done that I didn't mind it as much.
That's fair.
Yeah, the truck driver, I mean, he needs to get fired anyway because, like you guys said, you're gonna ride around Chicago with all your newspapers just blowing in the wind. You don't give a shit about the Sun Times, and how fast do you have to be going for a 2.5 feet tall doll to fly from the front seat through the windshield? Like, holy shit, man. She said it's a station wagon. I can't floor it. Well, bullshit. You sent a doll flying. I did like the little back and forth she had with the cop. I thought that was some good dialogue there. I have a date. He's like, oh, you're gonna have to do better than that. And then even Chucky being like, Chucky, like you guys said, didn't even gimmick the voice at all. Just straight up cut to the shit. Let's get out of here. Um, the biggest complaint I have with the finale of this movie though is again, how many coincidences can we believe in at this point? It just so happens that they end up at the good guy factory. Like, of all the places in Chicago, that's not a podunk town. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Chicago's pretty big. You just happen to end up back at the factory. Like, I think that was lazily done with no explanation of, it's not like he had to get back there. It just so happened, oh, we get back here, let's go inside now. So I had problem with that. But some stuff that goes on inside the factory, I'm glad that we made it back there. But this right there, it was just, come on.
Another thing I liked from the chase scene is when Kyle turns the headlights on Chucky and he shoots at the bird.
Yeah.
I love that. Chucky stays shit talking. I love that. All right. The next two scenes are the last two, and this is all inside of the factory. Chucky and Andy walk through the good guy maze. Chucky knocks into the ground and starts his chant. The ominous clouds form. Chucky realizes it's too late as his nose bleeds again. Kyle knocks a bunch of doll boxes on top of him. Andy runs off and he and Kyle run through the maze. They climb up a set of rollers, but Andy falls down them and Chucky is at the bottom waiting on him. Chucky chases him back up the rollers. Kyle drops a gate on Chucky's hand. He rips his hand off and rams the knife into his nub as a new hand and a weapon. Kyle and Andy crawl through the doll assembly line. The conveyor belt is now backed up, alerting the maintenance man. Hot plastic almost burns Andy. Maintenance man goes to fix the machine, but Chucky slices his neck, causing him to fall into the assembly line, being killed by having doll eyes rammed into his face and his eyes. Kyle and Andy are attacked by Chucky, but Kyle has Chucky stitched and put into the limb part of the assembly line. It comes out a hot mess, but of course Chucky escaped the room. Kyle is knocked onto the conveyor belt by the maintenance guy's body on a rope. Chucky crawls towards Andy without legs. He tries to stab Andy, but gets the knife stuck in a machine. Andy then releases the molten plastic on Chucky. Andy climbs the belt, saving Kyle. Chucky attacks one last time, but Kyle sticks the air hose into his mouth, blowing up his head. Andy and Kyle exit the factory, and the film ends with Andy asking, "Where are we going?" And then Kyle says, "Home." And then he says, "I have no idea where that is." I'm just going to touch on the ending real quick. I really like it. It's kind of like the first one where Chucky's kind of too damn strong, but I really like the setting in the factory. I think it's cool. The visuals are really cool. The maze is really cool, and the doll death is it's one of my favorites. I love the maintenance guys with the visual of the little doll eyes in his eyes. I love that. Becky, Casper, this was y'all's movie. Do you want to go first or do you want to go last on these last two scenes?
You decide. I don't care.
All right, Brian, go ahead. We'll let y'all go last.
All right, so a little fast fact off the bat, like the final showdown at the toy factory, along with the teacher scene, were actually both in Don Mancini's first Child's Play script, but got altered. And you know what? It's too freaking late. I feel I'm just as frustrated as Chucky, honestly, which it makes this whole thing frustrated because the wasted time that he spent coloring on Andy's homework and laying around in basement floors and burying other dolls. He had the damn time, and it's just that's what's frustrating. I was like ready to kind of see the switch and kind of see how that was going to play out a little bit. And look, nitpick central, but there's really no other way to get to the emergency exit except crawling through the dangerous machinery.
Right.
Wow. Okay. I mean, and the door's locked. I mean, that's not safety hazard there at all. I mean, come on. The layout of this factory is fucking nuts. I did think that the Candyman style knife, was a nice little visual. And another little fast fact. Andy's final third act, he was wearing a blue and yellow shirt. Miko Hughes is actually wearing the same shirt during Kindergarten Cop. So, and Andy Wiley, who plays Sammy, was in both movies, and both movies were made by Universal Studios. So that was a nice little fun fact I found. Um, but I'm just honestly, I'm not a big fan of the ending. I just felt like between the ridiculousness of the factory taking me out of it, the jokes with his nuts getting stapled and the shot of his eyes rolling to the back of his head that was too like Scooby-Dooish cartoony to me. Besides the nuts part, obviously that wouldn't have been Scooby-Doo. But I felt like they just missed the mark just a little bit. And lastly, I will say, I would like to see a Charles Lee Ray sequel, like where he had the mannerisms, from Chucky maybe, and little Easter eggs here and there, and that ended with him running from the police, like in the beginning of the first one. I think that would have been good. I really liked the little bit of the flashbacks that we got from Curse, whenever they showed that. So I really, I think that's just my little tidbit there. I think I would like to see that in the future.
Yeah, so the ending, like I said, I think that it was lazily done how they got to the factory, and the factory itself pissed me off. You're going to try to tell me that this factory that obviously runs 24 hours a day has one person working,
Yep.
and that
Yep.
nobody notices this girl just slide underneath the rolling door like she's Jean-Claude Van Damme. Nobody picks up on that. Nobody picks up the fact that this little kid has a Buddy doll, with a knife to his neck. That whole thing. Who arranges boxes like that? There's no need for the boxes to be arranged in a maze. They could just set those boxes up in a neat stack. They don't have to be constructed like that, other than the fact that we need it so that they can get lost in the maze later.
Valid.
The technician, when and I want to say that I'm glad you brought up the fact. I was wondering if I was going to be the only one that noticed the fact that they had to climb through the machinery to get to the emergency exit. That's not an emergency exit anyway because it's locked. OSHA would have a field day with this factory.
Yeah.
The technician's death, the optics of that kill were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
When Andy turns the molten plastic on and it covers him, and then he jumps up and he's coming after Kyle. Was that shit not still hot? It was still smoking. And they never acted like, oh, this is hot, I shouldn't be touching you. So they just had a full-on squabble while he's still smoking because it's supposedly hot. So I had a problem with continuity there. And then, yeah, the coolest thing to come out of this, other than the death with the eyes being inserted into his head, was the scene where the part where he puts the knife in his arm. I thought that was a really cool, like, you're getting some Resident Evil shit. But overall, the ending frustrated me, pissed me off because, like you said, he had ample opportunity. He had 84 minutes to play hide the soul, and then the clouds are over top, and it's like, oh, you are 32 seconds too late here. It's like, come on, shit. It just kind of, like you said, made it all for naught, made it frustrating, but It wasn't all bad because it was at least enjoyable. It was frustrating, but enjoyable.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, our maintenance guy, he didn't practice lockout tag out at all. My man did not shut that machine down or nothing. He deserved that death. OSHA would have a field day on this company. Yes. All right, Becky and Casper, what's your thoughts on the factory ending?
First of all, the reason that he took so long to hide the soul was because he had to be in 5 more movies.
That's true. That's true. That's valid.
We had to make a franchise.
We had to spawn a franchise.
So they were like, well, we got to put this off. We got to put this off. We got to put this off because we got to make 5 more movies in a series. We got to extend this. I'm going to have to highly disagree with a lot of things, only because these movies, and I think the reason why I love these movies so much is because they're just fun. Like, there is nothing in these movies that I take seriously because I'm like, they're just so out there and so what in the hell is happening most of the time that you just kind of have to take it with a grain of, especially when you get to Cult. Once you get to Cult, you're like, what in the fuck is going on? This is hilarious. This makes no sense.
But see, that came right after Curse, though, which was like super realistic and dark, and that's why I love it so much.
No, I totally agree, because it's like Curse was what revamped the series for me, because I could not stand Speed. I was like, Don, I'm gonna need you to reel in whatever you're doing right now, because you're going in a direction that I need you to stop going in. because Bride was fantastic and Seed was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So when he made Curse, I was like, yes. And then Cult was like funny and serious, and it was just the right amount of each to where it was not obviously not believable and it made no sense, but at the same time you loved it because it was like he's funny and saying his one-liners, especially the Cuckoo's Nest one, which will always be my favorite. And then you've also got the serious aspect of it. So the ending of 2 I love because it's so ridiculous. Like the fact that they did go to the good guy factory, the fact that that's where they ended up, the fact that they have this stupid boxes in a maze. I'm like, why? But it's funny because I'm like, well, okay, this is how we're going to do this. The scene where the guy got the plastic eyeballs in his head, fantastic. The fact that his balls got stapled, hilarious. I'm just laughing. It makes me laugh, and it's just very enjoyable. So as much as I can sit and be like, yeah, this is frustrating because it doesn't make any sense, I'm sitting there like and laughing my ass off because I'm like, this is just so stupid and ridiculous that it's funny, and I loved it.
Well, I can say, my take on the franchise, and this is kind of where Casper and I differed a little bit, was the first 3 for me were just kind of I grew up with, and there was just this take with Chucky that was so different. Like he had the dad jokes, but he was also really demented in a way. Whereas Bride and Seed, just for me as like an OG Child's Play fan, lost it. I absolutely, for a number of years and really even to this day, I watched Bride later on with Casper, and I was able to appreciate it more as kind of a comedy. But Bride and Seed, for an OG Child's Play fan like me, I absolutely hated it for a very long time. I was like, this is not the direction I wanted Chucky to go in. What happened to my dark Chucky? What these hokey fucking jokes, and now he's got a girlfriend and a fucking kid, and I'm like, what in the fuck? And the kid's this. I don't even know. I fucking hated those movies. And then when Cult and Curse and Cult came out, especially, see, my thing is Cult had phenomenal kills, but for me, Curse is my absolute favorite. I was like, finally, Chucky is back. Damn it, we got him. Like, this is what I've always wanted. This is the OG Child's Play fans. This is what we wanted.
Yes.
We finally have Chucky back. Finally. So
can I also just say real quick that they had an opportunity to make Fiona his kid.
And they did, Mark, and that did piss me off. I will agree. That was my only argument with Curse, that I really wish, but I kind of get it. So, in closing with saying that, Child's Play 2, I think it had some really iconic scenes. Curse is kind of always going to be my favorite out of all of them for the reasons I gave, but Child's Play 2 had its scenes. It worked for what it had. I like whoever said that it was frustrating, but it was enjoyable. I felt the exact same way about it. And I also did want to say, my dad, before he retired, was an OSHA guy for his job. He would have been so pissed by that. He would have been checking yellow flags. Oh, he would have been so mad.
He would have been able to enjoy that. He would have just
been like, no. Another part at the end, too, that my husband pointed out with the air hose, he's a machinist. He's like, if that air hose would have been turned all the way up to capacity to stick it in him and blow him up, that thing would have been whipping around way more than what it was that they showed. It would have whipped and probably slapped somebody and cut their leg. Like, it would have whipped around a lot more. So, continuity, I get it, but yeah, whoever said it was frustrating and enjoyable, Child's Play 2, I have to agree. That summed it up pretty perfectly.
I'm right there with you, Becky.
Everybody's opinions. I love hearing different opinions and stuff like that. I absolutely
agree with what Casper's saying. You have to take it for what it is. He's a doll. He's a fucking doll. You have to take it for what it is. But for me, like I said, I grew up with the movies. The original 3 will always hold a special place in my heart. So seeing Curse again, I was like, Thank you, Dawn. Thank you.
If he makes the series, if he actually makes the series a lot like following Curse and Cult, it's going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Alrighty, y'all ready to jump into some fun facts real quick?
Yes.
Do it.
Alright, I'll go first. I just got a few of them. Don Mancini stated that in an early draft of his script, the film was set during the Christmas season. This would have explained why so many good guy dolls were in the factory during the finale. All of Brad Dourif's voiceover work for Chucky was recorded in advance so they could match up Chucky's mouth with the words. Because of this, Dourif rarely appeared on set. Instead, recordings of his voice will be played back for Alex Vincent to go by. At 84 minutes, this is the shortest Child's Play movie. It opened as the #1 film at the box office. And the last one I have is Chucky appeared in a tuxedo at the 1990 Horror Hall of Fame Awards to advertise the theatrical release of the film. He was introduced by Robert Englund from A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's all I have. Anybody else got fun facts?
I got.
He was introduced by my other man. Oh. I'm sorry, I just geeked out really hard over that.
That would be. Don't go out there. Friend of the show, Robert Englund. That guy.
That's right. That's right.
Officially.
All right. So I just got two things quickly because you touched on a couple ones that I had. Grace Zabriskie, who played Grace Poole in this movie, she also played Mrs. Ross in Seinfeld. And if you watch some of the later episodes of Seinfeld, there's actually a VHS copy of Child's Play 2 on a shelf in Jerry's apartment. So that's kind of a cool little Easter egg there. The last thing that I have, Greg German, who plays Matson in this film, he also played Mr. Dennett in Talladega Nights, and he was married to Molly Shannon in the film. Molly Shannon co-starred in Never Been Kissed, which also starred David Arquette. Let's go!
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon right there.
Yep.
Goes back to David Arquette.
Yep. Always swings around.
That's my guy.
You never cease to amaze me, my friend. Brian, do you have any fun facts?
No, I said all mine during the thing.
Do y'all have any fun facts? Are y'all ready to jump into the favorite kill and rating?
What was the lady's name that ran the foster home?
Grace?
Grace.
Yeah.
Wasn't she Twin Peaks?
I don't know.
I have no idea. I have to go look.
So I don't think she was. I think you might be getting her mixed up with somebody else.
Okay, well that's my not fun fact.
Oh, actually, yes, she was in Twin Peaks.
Wait, who did
Didn't she play the mom? Didn't she play that chick's mom?
She played Sarah Palmer.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Okay.
Okay.
Mom. You're right. I stand corrected.
Okay, that's my fun fact.
I stand corrected.
It's been a while. I need to watch this again.
Becky, Casper, this was y'all's movie. Do you want to go first or last with your favorite kill, least favorite kill, and rating?
We can go first.
We'll go first.
I said first, Lord. First this time. There I go.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, yep, there she goes. My favorite kill, satisfyingly, was Tommy's. No, I'm just kidding.
Tommy.
R.I.P. Hi, my name is Tommy. Phil's. But my favorite kill that you don't see, Joanne's kill, how brutal that looked. I have to say, I don't know what he did, but the aftermath was great. But Phil dying was, that's OCD.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Phil's death was pretty satisfying for everyone. Honestly, mine, I don't know. I typically like these kind of kills in a lot of movies, but I like, how do you pronounce his name? Matheson? I liked his death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did. Being stuff like the bag over his eye.
Yes.
Especially what led up to that. The fact that
I like the lead up to the scene.
That guy was he was one of those 80s kind of.
He was the
yuppie
character.
He was a yuppie.
Yeah. Pretentious yuppie douchebag.
Yep, the fucking car phone, the gold card, fuck you, dude. You did take that guy out of here.
You're waiting for him to kill him. You're please just off him.
Just go.
Actually, there is something I want to point out though. In that scene, he does kill him. So does he drive the car himself to Andy's?
Oh shit. That's
There you go.
right.
Actually,
Boom.
but does he
Again,
drive the
another
car?
reason why he doesn't need Kyle.
Didn't need Kyle.
He could drive the whole time. I don't know how he reached the pedals.
Yeah.
No, I think he got the address, and then he just had him park close to the house, and then he ran there. I think that's what happened. Because they drive right by Andy's house, and then he has him parked. So I think he just ran, but
Okay.
I think that's what happens.
All right, there you go. That explains that.
Yep.
So what
What
do
y'all
you guys rate it?
I'm gonna say 7.5 plastic child's good guy eyeballs.
You gave it a 5.
7? No, I said a 7.5.
7.5. That's a little high. Sorry.
Because I'm thinking of the franchise as a whole. That's why I'm thinking 7.5.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a hard 6.
Whew, all right.
Hard 6.
A
A hard 6. Not a soft 6, a hard 6.
Nice.
A fully erect 6.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
What happened? I got hacked. I'm sorry.
If you have an erection lasting for more than 4 hours, contact your doctor.
That's this one right here.
Brian, do you want to go next?
I want to say is Becky right? I think I completely agree with Becky. By the way, I just wanted to say that with her entire outlook on the Child's Play franchise, right there with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My favorite kill is the strangle on the toy exec. I like that more for like the poetry in that, being that it was a throwback to him being a strangler. That was my favorite little tidbit in there. I liked that. I'm glad that the first kill was a strangle. I mean, I guess it was suffocation, but it was both. Let's go with that. Least favorite kill off screen death of Joanne. I said that because come the fuck on. I rated Child's Play 1 a 6.5. I would say that's about fair. Probably what I would still rate it. That was a long time ago too. That was like a lot of episodes ago. But and I honestly I think this is pretty close to that. So I'm gonna give it the same score, 6.5.
All right, I'll go next. Favorite kill? I picked Miss Kettlewell. I love that she dies, and I love the pan away shots, and you keep seeing, you can keep seeing the yardstick, like the hits. Every time it pans out, you can still see it. Even when it's beyond the fence, you can still see the strikes. And I wrote the factory worker was a runner-up because I really like that death too. I'm with you, Brian. My least favorite is Joanne, just for the simple fact it was off screen. I mean, Dustin's right. It was a very good reveal, but they could have put that in there. Maybe the MPA did have something to do with it. I don't know. I rated this movie at 8.5. Cons, I think it's ridiculous that the foster parents kept the doll in the house. So dumb that Grace just gave Uncle Charles all of Andy's information. It annoys me that they didn't notice the buried doll center yard looked like a yard, except the one hole. It looked like something dug up there. Like it was painfully obvious. The last nitpick I have is Chucky tells Kyle to speed up. Then she wrecks the car, but it's right beside the foster center, apparently. Did you notice that? Like, whenever they escaped, she escaped the office. She ran right to the car. It's like, why'd you have to speed up if it was right there? So that kind of bothered me a little bit. The pros, we get Chucky. We get Chucky start to finish. Brad Dourif is awesome. He's got an iconic voice in the horror genre. It's the intro to Funny Chucky as well. Kyle is an awesome foster sister to Andy. Andy's not great, but he's much improved from the first. He's a lot better. The movie is really fast-paced. It's only like an hour and 24 minutes. And it's just a fun watch to me every single time. I agree with whoever said that I don't take the Child's Play movie seriously. I just watch them for fun. I don't really isn't The Shining or nothing. I'm not looking for brilliance. I'm just looking for a fun villain and fun kills, and I just want to enjoy the movie. I like Child's Play 2 a lot. It's fun. Go ahead, Dustin.
All right, so I agree with a lot of what you just said, Nico. But as far as the kills, my favorite was the factory technician. Just the over the top the eyes getting put into his head and the way it looked after. I think that the aesthetic was so pleasing and well done. I really enjoyed that one. My least favorite kill is the first kill, the supernatural electricity. Just because I just don't think that makes any sense. I like Matson's kill. I wasn't shitting on that
I keep
one.
forgetting. Honestly, I keep forgetting about the Emperor Palpatine kill.
Yeah, because if you're gonna
You
kill
don't believe
someone,
that Chucky could be a Sith Lord?
it does not make doesn't make a lick of sense, as they say in my neck of the woods. Overall score. This is where what I was saying earlier. For me, I enjoy the movie, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's a good movie. There's plot holes throughout. There's lazy writing throughout, and who knows? Maybe they cut so much out of it that it would have been, if it was sitting at an hour 45 minutes, that some of those little quick shortcuts they took would have made more sense. But that being said, I give this movie a 5. I would definitely watch it again. I own the movie, but it's just not a great movie in my mind. So that being said, the composite score of all of our rankings, we come out at a 6.7 on Child's Play 2.
I would just like to clarify my 6.5 is 6.5 stapled Chucky nuts. That's what I want to rank it. 6.5 stapled Chucky nuts.
Mine is
6.5 Chucky nuts and 7.5 plastic good guy eyes.
Yeah, and my so.
All right, mine is 8.5 yardstick wax to the evil teacher. We're going Bloodbath and Beyond right now with our ratings. I like their YouTube channel. They're really good. Becky, Casper, really appreciate y'all joining us. Do y'all want to plug y'all show real quick, or have anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Child's Play is amazing, and it's the best franchise out there, and that's on Casper because not everybody agrees with that.
Well,
But if you guys do want to give us a follow on any of our social media, we do have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Don't Fuck With The Original. Make sure to spell it out with the apostrophe or you will not find it. Yes, it's annoying, but it happens. Also, we are on Spotify, Podcast Player, Podbean, Castbox, and Podcast Addicts if you want to follow our actual show, and then you'll know when we put out new episodes, which is every Wednesday.
Yeah, every Wednesday. Wednesdays are for podcasts with Don't Fuck With The Original.
Keeping things spooky.
Keep it spooky. I like it. We really appreciate y'all joining us. This was fun. We'll definitely do it again down the road.
Yeah, whenever we rank the Chucky franchise, definitely want to have them on for sure.
Oh, God.
That'll be a fun episode.
Thank you guys so much. We're definitely going to have you guys on, too. So.
Okay, let's go.
right now. Right as soon as this episode's done, you're on ours.
I can't deny I have to clean my apartment. We got inspection tomorrow.
Well, we really appreciate you guys asking us, and we've had a blast.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much.
No problem. The second y'all followed us and showed so much love, we really appreciate it, because like y'all started last January, we started last September, October, something like that.
September, I think. Yeah.
So I was just saying that we share the same journey of starting our own podcast and having a great time talking to our friends about it.
Yeah.
Really appreciate all the support, and y'all have a good night. And just want to remind everybody to don't go out there.